welcome to the 26th episode of the 10th Divine Podcast. This is a show about the Elder Scrolls Online. I am your host, Raven, and with me I have my amazing co-host, Shanty. How are you doing this week, Shanty?
Oh, swings and roundabouts is the best way to put it. So I got into the Diablo Early Access because of the tier that I purchased. So
Yay!
I thought I was being clever, saying, I'll get the Diablo out of my system before Necrom goes live, get that taken care of, get that itch out of the way. And then early in the week, I had to reprint 400 check images, and it's a 15-digit input to reprint those.
Right.
So between that and balancing the spreadsheet that went with that, I had over 10,000 10-key keystrokes on Tuesday, which put quite the strain on my wrist. Between that and using a brace for the rest of the week, which put the strain onto my thumb, I have not gotten nearly as much game time in this week as I would like.
Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that. I thought you were going to tell me for a moment there that you'd strained your wrists playing Diablo, because this is what everybody else seems to have done.
No. I play Diablo on a controller, so that's a little less of a risk.
Yeah, okay.
Cool. And then on Monday, the high points were I tweeted out a reminder, stay hydrated, eat, and the Elder Scrolls Online official account actually responded to that, and I was like, whoa, since when does this happen to me?
I saw that. That was really exciting.
And additionally, that day, I had a massive $500 donation to my Extra Life campaign for the year.
Hey, awesome!
That is half my goal, and now I'm obligated to play Skyrim or something.
Oh, okay. Is that how we get you? That was the Skyrim tier.
That was $500. Was the hitting 500 for the year was the Skyrim tier? Yes.
Okay.
How has your week been?
Oh, well, yeah, very, very difficult. There's lots of stuff going on at work that I can't talk about publicly. And it's been extremely stressful. I've had to go into my office in London twice this week. So I've done quite a lot of traveling. And I've had basically no time for video games. And then yesterday my PC died for a bit. So that was exciting. It blue screened on me yesterday morning. I was like, fuck it. I didn't even know Windows 11 did blue screens. It was like, terribly sorry, we've run into a problem. And I was like, okay, this is bad. I think what's happened, my hard disk, I've got a solid state drive that's the boot and the Windows installation. And I think it's got some bad sectors in it. Because when I opened up the event viewer, the system section of the event viewer was 2,000 messages that was your disk has bad sectors, your disk has bad sectors. And I was like, oh, okay. Somebody's tried to write something to a bit of the disk that did not want to be written to.
Oh.
So I've run some, check disk and all of that kind of stuff. It's like being back in the day, Windows 3.1 with, spent quite a lot of time. I had to spend quite a lot of time in the command prompt because the GUI kind of wasn't working. So that was exciting. I had a 2-hour period where it would only boot into the BIOS. That was great. But I think I was trying to work out how you get Windows 11 to boot into safe mode. And to get Windows 11 to boot into safe mode, you power it off whilst it's booting up 3 times. So basically, if it fails to initiate Windows 3 times, it then says, here is your recovery screen. There's not a key that you can press whilst it's booting up like it used to be. You have to press F4 or F5 or whatever. No, you just turn it off whilst it's booting up 3 times. And it's you look like you need the recovery page. Here is the recovery page.
That's regressive.
Yeah, I just think it's kind of bobbins. But anyway, I've been running Windows 11 for 3 years, and this is 2 years or however long Windows 11's been a thing, and I've never needed to do it previously. So there we go. So I've learned things about Windows this week, which was exciting. And I think we've recovered all of the bits that were on the bad sectors. None of my games are on that drive. They're on a different drive. So none of my sort of game information has been affected by whatever happened. And it is booting at the moment, obviously, because here we are on it. And OBS is working and Twitch is working and all of the other things are working. So yeah, it's been a bit more exciting, but that basically knocked out my Friday night. So I was like, Friday, it's going to be cool. Don't have anything to do on Friday night. I'm going to get into Necrom. Nope. What you're going to do on Friday night is repair your fucking PC, man. So yeah, it's not exactly been the most amazing week in the history of weeks, I have to say. Never mind. These things are sent to try. So now it's 30 degrees in Buckinghamshire, which is quite warm. So I am a little bit toasty in here, and I've had to turn my fan off because obviously we're streaming and recording and stuff. So a bit warm right now. But there we go. C'est la vie. We have not one but two wonderful guests with us this week. We have NineTaleFox and MrsNineTales. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having us back.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. How have you been this week? We were just sort of the big American news, of course, is this air quality. Like Canada's on fire and it's shitting all over your country. Is as far as I can tell. How's that all been going?
I can't take the kiddo outside. I can tell you that.
Yeah, a little more indoor activities, like a little library and stuff like that. But everything is just covered in this smoggy fog everywhere you go, and it's as an asthmatic. I didn't like stairs, being an asthmatic and out of shape to begin with, and then you throw in this just layer of just heaviness on your chest, and I'm gonna take the elevator today at work.
Yeah.
So, it's been pretty tough, but like I said, we're a little further down because we're in Rhode Island, and we're not like super close to Canada, so I can't imagine how our friends are doing up further from us. But it's been a little rough.
Yeah. So does that mean more video games, less outside, more video games?
Yes.
Yep,
Hey, awesome. That's exactly what that means. I'm not even going to come up with an excuse. Absolutely.
But hey,
excuse needed. The weather provided it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. This is Bethesda trying to make us all stay in this week to play more Necrom. Yeah, maybe.
It's a plot by our friends over at the Diablo studio and Elder Scrolls. They just came together and they're just like, this is what we're going to
do. Wow, there's two massively popular games coming this week. Let's just stay in.
Right.
I mean, I did enjoy all of the pictures of the Diablo 4 posters in New York against the really orange sky. It was like, wow, Blizzard, if you were planning.
So we can blame Diablo for this. It's a marketing ploy. It's just all marketing.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, Blizzard has set fire to Canada in order to sell more Diablo 4. Yeah. Okay. Good. You heard it here first. No, don't. Let's not spread that rumor. So what have we all been up to in game since we last chatted? Shanty, have you had any gaming time for ESO?
I did get a very little bit of Necrom in. I rolled an Arcanist and started the storyline, but then my wrist just said no. So I've gotten one of however many for the story completion.
Okay.
Yeah, that's been about it. How about you? Have you had any chance to do anything?
Not in ESO, no. So I had 2 pieces of group content that I run in WoW on a regular basis, and those are the only things that I've managed to do this week. So I did a bit of WoW raiding. We went into the new raid, which is not called Abacus, but we always call it Abacus. What's its actual name? Aberrus, maybe? I don't know.
Abacus is close enough for me.
We call it Abacus, and we killed a new boss this week, so that was exciting. And actually, my screenshot thing wasn't working, which is probably the first sign that my PC was about to die, so that was exciting. But yeah, we did some Mythic Plus dungeons on Monday, and that is it. That is all I have. Thank you, Vel Estros. Welcome to chat. Aberrus, the Shadowed Crucible. It sounds more impressive if you give it its proper name. So we did a little bit of that. But I had Friday carefully put aside to get into Necrom, and alas, it was not to be. I was like, are you absolutely shitting me? This is not fair.
Men plan and gods laugh, right?
Yeah. C'est la vie. NineTaleFox, what have you been up to recently?
So, what have I been up to recently? Wow, that's a loaded question. No, we got a chance to jump into Necrom, and that's really what we've been doing all week. We had a whole Bethesda basically hosted a whole bunch of excuse me, I'm sorry. Hosted a whole bunch of events, like themed days, if you will. So we've been jumping in, doing a lot of that with our community within the Necrom, Telvanni Peninsula, and Apocrypha. That's really what we've been doing with that. Prior to building up, we were getting all of our guides and builds all set up for the website that we collab with. So we were basically working the entire week up to that is just nothing but typing away, trying to get all of that set up and good to go for Necrom. So those are all up and ready to go. But the world of Apocrypha and Telvanni Peninsula are absolutely amazing. I'm
looking forward to getting in there for sure. Mrs. NineTales, anything to add from you?
Yeah, so NineTales did happen to leave out that he did purchase Diablo because I got the receipt. So he has played that too. Don't let him get away without telling you about that. But we, like Diane said, we've been just working through Necrom this week with each of the theme days from Bethesda, and just having an absolute blast. I do a lot of the admin stuff, so I'm still catching up on sending out like our St. Jude incentives and all of that from our previous charity stream that we just finished up. And there's just been a lot of behind the scenes stuff, which is kind of where I am. And I'm on this was my 4th week of my new job. So trying to balance that and like reschedule and figure out my new routine has been an interesting week. So.
Yeah. Okay. Bit of a challenging one. Bit of a challenging one all around, it sounds. So let's have a bit of a dive into Necrom. But before we get into that, do you want to remind our listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do? And this is definitely the space for any shameless plugs you want to make about anything.
Yeah. So we are the NineTaleFoxes. We are a couples co-stream. We are a husband and wife team. We are members of the official ESO stream team. And we actually announced on Monday we are now Corsair partners as well, which we're really excited for. So as a huge deal for us, and we're really excited. So we primarily stream the Elder Scrolls Online, and we run a community that encompasses all regions, all platforms for the Elder Scrolls Online. And we are, very, very beginner friendly, beginner focused. That's kind of our end game is helping other people find what they love about the game. So we run a really great Discord and community. And we also now, I've been doing like mini guides for years for our community on new content, how to do things, kind of those frequently asked questions. And they kind of just went to the Discord abyss and never were read to the extent that I would have loved. So we were invited to do a collab project with Duma at the Game Room. So we now partner with him on his website for thegameroom.tv. So we do ESO guides over there, builds, and all kinds of stuff like that now. So
awesome. That's awesome news.
Yeah, we're really excited. Like I said, we never thought that it would become what it's become. And it's a little surreal still to be like, oh, wow, like us, like seriously, this opportunity, or, this the series of events is happening. Like, really? Like, that's something for us. So it's kind of cool.
So in addition to that partnership, I know you've had Lock on before. Yeah. And just given what the timeline, sorry, I've got something still in my throat still. Given the timeline of what's happening, I know Locke is also hosting the ESO Pride March on the Mrs. 24th.
24th for PC, yeah. 26th for PlayStation.
Yep. And we'll be sponsoring the 28th.
Yes, we're going to be hosting on the 28th. Yep.
So awesome. Anyone who's in game who wants to join up for that, like I said, you can check out Locke, you can check out the Discords and find out all that information and join in. Like I said, it's a nice little march right through. It's a lot of fun
this year.
Yep. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, really looking forward to that. We had Lock on a couple of weeks ago to talk about the plans, but they hadn't quite managed to pin the dates down at that point. So it's really great to know when those marches are going to be, because I think they're going to be a lot of fun. Let's see if we can crash Vardenfell this time and
Yes. Do it.
Bring some color to the Druid area.
Yeah.
So this has been a busy week in ESO outside of a few players with Necrom launching on PC. Have you both played through all of the story, and how are you finding it so far?
We haven't touched the story at all.
So
here's our gig, right? Here's our gig is we will not play the story on stream, mainly because Necrom dropped for us on Monday, and it won't drop for console till the 20th. And because our community is a mix, other than we try to do as little spoilers as possible. Yeah. One of the big ones being stories and lore, things like that. So companion stories, things that people are really going to enjoy. Trials, Bastionimics, these are things that, again, you can find the guides for. These you're going to have to experience going into them, no matter how many times you watch them. But the story is, the first time you read and listen to the story is the first time you can do it, right? So we don't ever do that on stream. And since we stream 4 days a week, that's left us 2 days. I run D&D on Sunday and Tuesday. I run 3 games, alternating Sundays, Tuesdays every week. So those 2 days are out of the question. So Thursday's really our only day to do anything. And again, with everything being the way it is, it's just been super busy this week. So we have not actually touched the story at all. We know Laramel the Wise is there saying, I need your help, and have no idea what goes beyond that.
Awesome. So what about the new class? Have you rolled up an Arcanist?
Mm-hmm.
How are we finding Arcanist?
We are loving it. I think I could speak for both of us on that one. Mm-hmm. So that is something we've had the ability to dive into pretty deep. And I play support, so I'm co-leveling, tank and healer skills, and Nine's been leveling his DPS. And this is probably the first class where I've ever even entertained the idea of wanting to DPS. Everybody in our community knows, like, Mrs. DPSing is usually like a charity reward because I hate it that much. So it's weird to be like, Duma had created a really awesome build. It was a build that didn't require any of the mythic gear or trial sets, kind of the more tougher to get sets. So there's just something about this book beam that is mesmerizing, that is just wiping like a dry erase board, everything in front of you. And I'm like, finally something I can play. So but like I said, we've just been going through leveling. We've been, leveling with our community, trying out a lot of the content. So we haven't had the chance to really just kind of power level, which if you're a new player, we highly suggest you don't do. We have played since beta. So we know the deal behind leveling a character. So we're not afraid to kind of just power level something. We know what to do, what not to do. But we are just trying to get it up to CP right now, and we got to get that for next week because we're doing Tipsy Trials, which is run by Maddie and we do vet content for that. So we're just gonna get it to 50 at least for next Thursday, that 1 day a week that we normally have to ourselves that we don't this week coming. But we're loving the class. It is just very playable for all skill levels. Like I said, me who doesn't DPS, like, I can actually DPS for once and put out a decent amount of damage and feel good about it, which is a nice feeling. There's so many layers of complexity to the Arcanist class with the crux system and generating crux and spending crux, and that it offers something for the more veteran level players that can kind of figure out, if you will, that puzzle of how to play their builds to maximize the potential. But at the lowest level, if you don't know how to do anything with the crux system, you don't know how to generate or spend it in the most effective manner, you're still able to put out a crazy amount of DPS that still is going to clear content and clear, even vet content you're going to be able to clear without an issue. So they've made it such a playable class for all levels that it offers something for the higher tiers to aspire to, but it also offers something for, again, the more common, casual player that, may not be into that. I will say though that as a PSA, it is the first time the class is coming out. We have play tested it. The class is a little overpowered at the moment. So as a PSA to my friends out there, it will get balanced at some point. We fully expect that. And I know everybody, it hurts a little on the inside to kind of lose some of that power behind it. But what we're seeing with the class is it's a little over the top right now. So my recommendation is enjoy it while you can, do the content,
definitely.
but fully expect a balance change to come in the near future, because we're seeing a class that is, again, clearing vet content in their sleep right now. So it might be a little overtuned at the moment, but it's overall, like I said, a really great, well-balanced class for all roles. You can make the Arcanist anything, DPS, tank, heals. It's really, really well-rounded play for it. So we've been very excited, very happy with it.
Anything to add, Nine?
Oh yeah, I was going to say, like I said, because I do mostly the mag and stam DPS side of it. So I've been playing around with those because when you got the Arcanist, you got one free character slot. Because they basically up the limit from 18 to 20 total. So you can get one for free, and then you can purchase one in the Crown Store, which is great. So I did that and basically made 2 Arcanists, 1 Mag, 1 Stam. And what's, like the missus was saying, what's really great about it is that, again, they are so versatile with the armory system and everything like that, is the Arcanist is so versatile that you're leveling up everything anyway, because a lot of the passives from the other trees, even if you're as a DPS, a lot of the passives from like the tanking specialty tree are going to be super beneficial in the long run, like with your recoveries and resources. So there's no point not to level up all the trees. And then again, with the armory system, if you make a Stam DPS, it's relatively easy to go into the armory system and not feel like you're wasting time, resources, gear, switching it to a tank real quick. And same with a mag DPS to a healer is, again, you've already got everything opened up anyway, right? So like the missus was saying, the versatility side of it is the ability that they have for a lot of the skills to work really nicely together for both solo, for group content. Again, having a, healing front bar and then having some DPS and support on the back bar is absolutely insane and awesome for that. And like I said, just working forward, people are going to really enjoy. Plus, the animations, the visuals are gorgeous.
They look
every time they just keep upping the ante on kind of like what they're doing and how they're putting it out. And we'll talk more about that when we get to actually talk about like Telvanni Peninsula and Apocrypha. But the character itself, like everything is just like over the top. It's amazing.
Oh, superb! Yeah, the visuals. The visuals do look just so different from anything else that's existed in the game previously.
Yeah, it definitely has the most unique flavor out of anything thus far. So, what do you think of the overworld content? The world bosses, the delves, the bastion mimics.
So, we did the mimics last night. I'll touch upon the mimics in a second. So the overworld content as a whole, and this is I'll kind of expand a little bit as to what I was saying before, is because this is, in my opinion, this is where the world of the Telvanni Peninsula and Apocrypha come to life as well. Not just what you're going to encounter, but also what you're going to see visually while you're there. The devs and creators did a wonderful job with Apocrypha itself, visually speaking. And you just look around and there's little things everywhere. There's little Easter eggs everywhere. And it's just a lot of fun. Like I said, they just keep adding more and more, just keeps adding more and more every time they come out with a new chapter to new lands. They just keep adding little things here or there. Like I think it was Blackwood. You have the ability to start petting doggos. And in High Isle, you could pet a cat and a cow and dogs. Like they just started adding like these little things, and Apocrypha and Telvanni Peninsula are no different. There are so many little things like that you can do that they have no effect on the game play itself, but it helps immerse you into the worlds that you're in. As far as
it makes it feel more lived in, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Like you're not just going from point A to point B to get something done with some trash mobs thrown about. Like I said, there's this book, there's this glowing book, and I recommend everyone goes and steps on it. They're in Apocrypha. Just go and step on the book. Watch what happens. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to summon some big world boss. It's just do it. Watch it. It'll be fun. But as far as the world bosses go, there are the Herald Seekers, right? The Herald Seekers are like little pseudo wandering world bosses. And those are what you need for the Bastion Mimics. And I'll explain a little bit more about those. But the bosses themselves, the actual world bosses themselves, they're not easy. They're not easy. And I like that. It's definitely a big promotion on group play. They started doing it with Blackwood, where it was no longer super easy to solo a world boss based on the advanced mechanics that they're throwing in there. And the hits that you're taking, you can't just solo a world boss anymore, which I like. That's the idea, right? Is that you don't necessarily need, a trial team. Like you don't need 12, 14, 15, 16, 20 people there to kill it, but you probably aren't going to necessarily be able to have the easiest time doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really stepped up the push on group play in Necrom with, again, Bastion Mimic and some of the world events and world bosses and stuff. It's an MMO. It's an MMO, and while they still support and encourage people, if you're a solo player to do your thing, there's plenty of content you can do. They're stepping up their game, pushing some of that group content, and find an awesome community, find a really awesome guild. Use zone chat. I know zone chat can be a little scary sometimes, but use zone chat. Find that group. Find somebody to go in with. And I love that. I love that because for us, we played basically by ourselves for the first 6 years or so of our ESO journey. And finding a group and a community was literally game changing. It brought a whole new meaning and a whole new feeling to this game, being able to play with other people and a community. And I think they see that value, and they're trying to find ways to kind of push that a little more. And, again, without totally alienating our solo friends. But Necrom, I feel, has really kind of upped the ante on being like, find a group, go play with your friends, get your friends into the game or find that really awesome community that you vibe with, because we're going to step it up a notch and you're going to need those people. So let's make an MMO an MMO and play with new people, bring in new friends.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know you had asked about Bastion Mimics as well, which are the equivalent of dolmens or Deadland portals, the atolls, the world events. And so they actually brought a brand new concept to them, and I'm actually really digging it. I really like the Bastion Mimics. I will say that there is one thing I wish that you could do differently about them, but I understand why, and I'll explain that as well. So with the Bastion Mimics, the way you start, you'll see as you run around Apocrypha and Telvanni Peninsula, you'll find little Herald Seekers, right? There are Seekers, which look the same but smaller, and then Herald Seekers, which have that nice elite bar to them. That I don't recommend doing by yourself. Again, just a lot of mechanics built in, and it's super interesting. But in addition to that, so to start a Bastion Mimic, you have to go get the daily quest. Cool. So you go to Ordinator Dazia over in Necrom of Telvanni Peninsula. As soon as you walk in, right over there, and she'll give you the daily for the Bastion Mimic, and then you go kill these Herald Seekers. And when you do with the quest, they will drop something called Daedric Ichor. You need 5 Daedric Ichor to enter a portal. Now, to enter the Bastion Mimic. With the Bastion Mimics, it can be up to a group of 4. And this is what I really like, because one of the things I really like about it is because unlike previous dolmens and things like that, anybody could go in. And you could run into just any amount of random people, and maybe you lucked out and there were people there to help. maybe there was no one there and you were waiting 20, 30 minutes or whatever. Or the flip side of it is you run in and there's a group already way bigger than you wiping everything and you don't get any experience or contribution to it or get to enjoy or experience it. So with this one, you need 5 of the Ichors, which means 4 people. 1 Herald Seeker gets you 4 Ichors, providing they have the quest. Only 1 person needs the Ichors. And then everyone in the group gets to enter the Mimic.
Okay.
And when you go into the Mimic, there's 3 quadrants to it. Basically, I'm going to define them as red, blue, green, right? And you'll get ported into one of those sections. And it's like a mini dungeon. The mobs are not easy. Like it's not like you can solo them. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's not easy. It's like a mini dungeon, which is super fun. And there are puzzles involved. With each one has a unique puzzle that you can do. They get you additional loot.
Yep.
And they're a lot of fun. Like I said, the fact that they basically added mini dungeons that for you and your friends, again, it's like you want a 2-mana, go for it. And then you fight the big baddie at the end for additional stuff. But it's a lot of fun. Like I said, that concept right there alone, like I said, the one drawback is you cannot enter the Mimic unless you have the Ichors, and you can't get the Ichor unless you're with someone who has the daily or has the Ichors already. That's the drawback.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not quite as easy as the Dolmens or whatever in terms of, just running into them.
Not at all.
A little bit more effort required there.
Yes.
Yeah, like I said, definitely pushes that group play 100%. We were going in with a group of 4, and I mean, I don't know how many times we wiped on some of them just trying to figure things out. So it's got a little bit of a challenge, a little spicy.
A little spicy. Okay, cool. Have you had a chance to look at the new trial yet?
Yes. We actually ran last night. So per Bethesda's kind of schedule of events for the week, for the stream team members, we were up to the Sanity's Edge trial and Bastion Mimic kind of days of the week. And so we had done it on PTS for Tipsy Trials quite a while ago. But we went in last night with our guildies for the first time. We actually had 2 groups. So we filled 2 groups to run, which was really awesome. And we went through, and it's always so much fun because we love trials. We really enjoy trials, whether, normal or vet. Trials are a lot of fun for us. And it's a really awesome opportunity to kind of teach people some new stuff. So we had a couple of guildies join us that really haven't been on our runs lately. They actually usually come with us on newer runs so that they can hear Nine's mechanics, explain it, learn it, and then take it to another guild to help teach them too, which is really, really exciting for us because that's what we want. People are always so afraid, like, oh, people are going to learn stuff here and then they're going to, take it somewhere else. And we're like, no, that's what we want. We want people to learn and grow and then take it and, teach somebody else somewhere. So, we had a couple of those guildies back on last night, and, we were working through the mechanics and, teaching people what to do, what not to do. So lots of wipes, lots of laughing, lots of joking. We're very casual in our approach on things. So we're just there to have a good time. It's a game. This should be fun for people. So we went in, and like I said, we wiped a half a dozen times as we were figuring things out. And I always love in trials where you have people that have run a million trials that are really, good at what they do with trials. And when new mechanics pop up and a new trial pops up, they suddenly forget the basics of trial. Like when you have a cone AoE that follows you, don't spin wildly around the room and wipe out your entire group. They all know that. They all know that that's the case, but somehow we forget that part of it. Or, there's this giant AoE coming in on you. So they run to their healer and stand on their healer. And now suddenly we're both encased in ice. And I'm like, have you not do that? You can come to me in my general area, but I suggest don't stand on top of me with your giant, circle of doom. And so we laughed a lot about that last night, but it is just such a really cool, and, we don't want to give away, too many spoilers about it, but, you're essentially entering someone's mind. So the trial is in somebody's mind, which is just a really, really cool concept. We loved it. It incorporated a lot of mechanics and stuff we saw in other bits and bobs in the game. There's, some aspects of, like I said, kind of like that frozen tomb that you see in like Sunspire. And so they pulled in and gave those mechanics a new spin. So they're not just the same old mechanics, but they bring a little something else to you. So it was a fantastic trial. It, in terms of difficulty, is much less difficult than Rockgrove and Dreadsail Reef, which, having some conversations with Finn, who designs all of these encounters, they did say that the expectation was this would be kind of a little bit of a step back from, Rockgrove and Dreadsail Reef, where they were really challenging. So a lot of people are like, oh, Sandy's Edge is so easy. It was speed made a little, kind of a step back. So we've already seen people get their trifectas on day one. Their speed run, no death, hard mode. For those of you not familiar with trifectas. And so, like I said, there definitely is a little, shift in the design of the trial to be, again, a little less difficult. So, seeing more people clear, which is cool, and some fun rewards that come out of it, and you get dies and face markings and mounts and all kinds of cool stuff. So it was a really awesome time. So we run weekly trials on Wednesdays and Fridays, and the guildies get to vote. So I fully expect for the next 2 months, 3 months, that every single trial for the next 2-3 months, they are going to vote for the new Sanity's Edge. So if anybody's on BCNA and wants to run those, we are always available, and I will probably be running them till my eyes bleed. So anybody's welcome to join us.
Awesome.
So, like the missus was saying with the trial itself, like I said, is while they took it a step back, is she mentioned the achievements and the rewards for getting these as well. And one of the things we had talked about last night with people, and we were trying to get a little bit more feedback as well, to kind of see what people thought and all that. But there's a lot of achievements that can be obtained within Necrom, the chapter as a whole, Overland. So if you are into exploring the world, if you're into reading all the lore, there's going to be awesome stuff that you can get just by doing all of that. So they really up the ante on, it's not like, oh, cool, there's one premier item and it can only be achieved from doing, the, speed run, no death, hard mode, trial. But now you can get a mount from doing Overland. You can get a costume from doing Overland. You can get a non-compat from doing the PDs. I said there's all these things now that you can get from doing Overland. We got a die from doing. I mean, people really like the die from Sanity's Edge, and that was on normal. So there's some really cool things that you can get as a player just by doing the content that you prefer. Yes, there are going to be obviously those elusive items. Like there's that. It's a really nice mount you get from doing the trial. The trifecta on the trial, but there's also a mount for doing Overland as well. So I think that they brought that in with this chapter, and I think it's a really great idea and a really great way to reward people for doing content as a whole and letting them do kind of the content they want to do, and maybe kind of encouraging them to try something that they wouldn't normally do, because they want to get the outfit with the hat. Where's the hat come from?
Shroom tender, yeah.
Like if you want the entire outfit, well, you need to do XYZ, and if that's not normally what you do, well, maybe to get that you do it a little bit more, which again is kind of the point, which is awesome. So
yeah, they really stepped it up with that content. And one of the things, because again, being on the stream team, we get direct access to, the devs and the community managers and stuff, and have some really, really great conversations. And, they want to hear how people are liking this new kind of push on the collectibles being earned through Overland. So we encourage people, whether for better or for worse, it's okay not to like something, and it's okay to give constructive criticism. You're going to be drowned out if you're being rude and, nasty and just angry for the sake of being angry, which it happens. We see it. I'm sure you see it on WoW. It's not just exclusive to ESO. So we see it. We see it everywhere. But, going in with constructive feedback, or it's okay to also give kudos. You always give the restaurant the 1-star review when you hate it. how many times do you give them the 5-star review when it's awesome? Give the 5-star reviews because they're listening right now, especially with the collectibles. They want to hear what people's thoughts are. If you like it, tell them, because then we're going to get more of it. So if they just don't hear anything and there's like, oh, well, people really aren't earning it, they don't care about it, well, then they're not going to put in that extra effort, because it's a lot of work to design all of these additional outfit styles and the mounts and the pets. And it is a lot of work. People don't think it is, but it is. So they need to know where to concentrate their efforts. So if we can say we love these collectibles being earnable, doing overland content, they're going to keep doing it. So that's our one thing, is we encourage people. The forums are out there. They are very involved on Twitter. Talk to your stream team members. Like I said, we have the direct access. We provide feedback on a daily basis to them. Our community says X, Y, Z, and they listen. They do. I know people are always like, they don't listen to us. They do, because we have now all of this amazing overland collectible content that's earnable that people have asked for. So it's there. It may not be as quick as some people would like, but they do listen. So like I said, I highly encourage people, don't forget to give the 5-star reviews, because those are just as important sometimes as the constructive criticism too.
And that being said, is because I want to touch upon constructive criticism. Because there's been a number of times where people are like, this sucks. Okay, well, what sucks about it? Just it does. Exactly. I'm like, well, that doesn't help them fix it. For example, we were in the Bastion Nimic last night, and one of the quarters that we were in, I forget which quarter it was, the portals were detached from the image of the portal. The animated portal was detached from where the actual interactable entrance was. And again, it's just one of those things where you see it, you screenshot it, and then you submit a ticket, so they know. They may not know that, oh, hey, this, the coding, it says, the coding says that this was supposed to be 0.00031, and it's now 00131, and it's just that much further away than it's supposed to be. They just need to know this stuff, right? And like I said, it's just letting it ride out. Is people are just gonna sit there, oh, they can't even get this right. Well, did you tell them?
Submit those tickets.
Did you tell them? Have you communicated?
Exactly.
Electric Gaming in the chat room says, I love the outfit you get at the end of the quest for Necrom. And Ketatinka says the in-room is also cool. So it sounds like there's loads of stuff.
Yep.
It's
really awesome.
Oh, the house is, So I'm not a huge Dunmer fan. I'll say this. I'm not a huge Dunmer fan. Mainly because I don't like Vardenfell or the Peninsula. I'm not a fan of like Morrowind. I'm not a fan of that land. A lot of mushrooms. I'll be very, very, frank. I'm not frank. I'm 9, but this is lots of my jokes. I'll be very candid with this. Is I say that the Vardenfell and Morrowind always looks like an inverted human body. Just the way it's. That's just me. That's, I don't know, with all the mushrooms and everything. But I will say this: the design for like the homes and the colors, like I said, it uses this gorgeous blue tiling for a lot of it, and like the gilded, but it's not like over the top, and it's a really nice, really clean cut and design with the blues and everything. Oh, it's so pretty. The in-room, the Emissaries Enclave, which, fun fact, has direct access inside the home to the Thieves' Den.
Yes.
It has an entrance into the Thieves' Den inside the home.
Nice.
Which I think is absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So if you're always getting caught stealing and you always have a bounty, go get that home.
Plus it's a really nice home too.
It is.
So.
All right. So you did mention things that you might not necessarily go in for. Have either of you gotten the Tales of Tribute deck yet?
We have not. I've collected a lot of the fragments. I will say we were excited initially for Tales of Tribute, but when it comes to how many minutes we have to be able to play, it kind of sits at the bottom of our list. So we are excited for the people that love it. I've heard some great things about the deck, kind of secondhand from a lot of our community members. They're finding really like dirty mashups on decks, but we do not Tales of Tribute very often. I think I've maybe played like 4 games so far. I want to give it some more love and attention that it deserves, but tends not to be at the top of our list on content. So
yeah, I think that's fair. It is fun, but you just need the time.
Yes.
Yeah, that's completely understandable, especially as you're putting out so much content every week. It's hard to get to it.
Yeah.
It's a very focus-based game, very much like Vet Trials is when you're doing Tales of Tribute, even if you're really, really good, because you're just constantly trying to process like chess, like the next move, you're not really, it's hard from a streaming perspective, it's tough to give love and attention to people who are watching you, want to be with you, and be like, okay, what's my next move? Oh, they're gonna take that one. And it's like, that's I guess my big...
Not saying it's not doable, but we are not.
Yeah, Locke does a fantastic job with talking through what they're doing with each turn. And I saw a nasty combo that Locke had posted on Twitter too.
Yes,
so.
I did see that.
Cool. We're just going to take a couple of moments to remind you all that we are part of Bonus Roll Productions. You can find our show and lots of other great MMO-focused podcasts, such as But Wait, There's Lore, Realm Maintenance, and Girls Gone WoW over at bonusroll.gg. So, moving on from the gameplay just a little bit, what do you think about the environmental design for Telvanni and Apocrypha?
So, while we mentioned, previously that, the Morrowind, if you will, side of ESO is not our favorite aesthetic. As someone who is deathly allergic to mushrooms IRL, I tend to have avoided them my whole life. So going into a land of them, there's something a little intimidating, I think, still. But it's just I am one for very bright environments. So like High Isle was like a dream for me in Somerset. I tend to really, dig those areas. So kind of that more dreary, I always equated Vardenfell to New York or New Jersey with the amount of construction that's constantly happening at all times as a former New Yorker. But it's not normally my favorite area to be in, but we were talking with our chat last night, and the aesthetic may not be our forte, but we can absolutely appreciate the beauty that is the artwork and the design of the areas, the little tiniest details that have gone into everything, just the again, incredible artistic value of it. And, again, it may not be, our top choice for a zone theme kind of, if you will. But just the littlest, smallest, most granular details, you can take your camera shot and pick out 10 of the most micro details in there that you're like, somebody took the time to actually, put that into play and put that into motion. And they thought about that to add that. And it's mind blowing to think about the amount of talent that these designers have, that they create such beautiful scapes and just a wonder to just walk into and just want to look at everything. So again, it's just as Nine has mentioned, they've just upped the ante on how beautiful and how creative and just the design presence in the game. And you look at obviously the first areas of the game, and then you step into something like this, and you're like, oh my god, like this game has been around for 10 years and they have just continued to get better, and they have not staled in just their talent for creating these masterpieces that are these zones. So we're definitely going around kind of trying to appreciate all the little details of everything. So.
And so, like the missus said, like when the game first came out, you look at those zones. Morrowind was one of the first expansions, taking out Imperial City and all that. Morrowind was one of the first expansions, and between Morrowind and Telvanni Peninsula, you can see a world of difference between them. If you just go between the two, other than the construction, you have less mountainous. It's a lot easier to navigate. That was always a huge frustration with Vardenfell, is you need to get to the other side of this mountain, but there's literally no way to cut through. You literally have to go all the way around the map just to come back. Whereas here, again, there's less mountainous, there's more cut throughs. And like you were talking about before, Raven, is that it definitely looks more lived in.
Yeah.
Vardenfell and the peninsula have both been very, very much lived in. But this one definitely feels like there are stairs carved into mountainsides, for them to get up and around, like people would naturally do if they'd lived there for hundreds of years. And then you have Apocrypha. Apocrypha is absolutely gorgeous. Every little detail. The rain is like black ink. It's because, again, Hermaeus Mora being the Daedric god of forbidden knowledge. And so it's like the ink, there's books everywhere. There are little tomb shells, which are adorable. They're like little floating books with tentacles and an eyeball in the center. They're adorable.
Nice.
If they don't make that a non-com, I don't know.
I'm gonna riot.
Yeah.
They have blue
Something
torch bugs now. There's blue torch bugs floating around.
Wow.
So
Mhm.
knock, knock. Bethesda, my DMs are open. But yeah, like I said, there's some like really, really fun aesthetics. Like I said, there's little things everywhere within them that just add to it, and nothing seems out of place. It's not, nothing there seems like that doesn't make sense. It's not like, oh, they're like forcing lore, creating fake lore, if you will, just to make that fit.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything fits logically into each other.
Yep.
And the color.
The color is beautiful. Yeah, I love green.
Green is my color, so I'm
Right.
really looking forward to it now. So what about the environmental sound and the voice acting? I know I, for one, am just over the moon that Wes Johnson is back as Hermaeus Mora.
I love Wes Johnson. We got to meet him at the ESO meetup in Vegas.
Oh my god.
And he is everything I've ever seen on Twitter and more. He is an incredible human being, and I am so glad he's back again. And just such a big part of this being the voice of Hermaeus Mora. And we saw on Twitter once Necrom kind of came out, all the voice actors were able to kind of post like, I'm a voice, and seeing the return of some really awesome, Steve French came back, who was the voice of Mehrunes Dagon, and just to see people that have been long time voice actors of the game reprise their roles and come in as new people, and the excitement they have for being part of the Elder Scrolls series. It speaks volumes. It's obviously such an honor for a lot of these voice actors to be part of such an iconic story and series. So I think that's really awesome. So what I love about ESO is everything is voice acted. You go into so many, games, and you have your cutscenes. There's a lot of reading and stuff like that, and they kind of use voice acting in very key moments. But ESO voice acts everything. I mean, everything. So I've always loved that about the game, and like I said, the talent. Becky, that works the talent over on the Bethesda side. Just they pick such incredible people that just fit so well into these roles. So no surprise that Necrom has been another just incredible selection of voice actors. And then like I said, you fangirl a little bit. It's like, oh my god, it's Wes Johnson again. And obviously he's voiced many things over the years, but you hear it's him. You just know it's him, and he just got that presence. So. But the sound effects, I mean, especially like we talked about the Arcanist just being a next level class, and the sound effects that are there. And it's just, there's so much to listen to. And I think sometimes audio is the last, the last thing appreciated sometimes, because you're listening, but you're not listening. So taking the moment to really dive in, and the ESO Live, they bring on the audio team, and I don't know if you guys were able to catch it. And I forgot what sound they said they used to create it, but the audio team, he put a pumpkin on his head and slapped the pumpkin to make a noise.
Wow.
I think that was, I'm pretty sure that was the tentacle ability.
Tentacle ability.
Amazing.
They go above and beyond to create these sound effects, and it's awesome to kind of get a behind the scenes look at that, because there's my favorite, from quite a while back. They had them on, and the Gwar. If you ever have a Gwar mount, and you kind of slap the back of the Gwar to go faster, and when you really hit the speed boost. Well, apparently, they created that sound by slapping their own rear end. And they had tried it, it just fit.
Nice.
And it was just like, this one. And so they're the care they put into the audio and just the scores, obviously the musical scores they have, I know a lot of people are already in love with like the Morrowind soundtracks that came out previously, and again, these are no different. So I think the audio team at Bethesda does not nearly get enough credit for the creativity of creating these sounds. But just again, I know High Isle last year, I want to say, was nominated for a soundtrack. I don't know if it was a Grammy or it was some awards that were going around that they were nominated for in the video game category. And so I hope to.
I believe that was a Grammy. I think I think it was the first year that they included video game scores in the Grammy.
Yeah, and it's incredible to, the game that you loved and have loved for so many years to get the recognition and the appreciation. I mean, even just again to be nominated is incredible out of all the games out there. So again, Necrom is definitely no slacker in just the incredible, audio talents and musical scores that have gone into it. So
cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that aspect of it. As you say, it being ESO always being fully voice acted is just such a joy. Sometimes if I've been playing ESO for a while and I go back to WoW, I'm like, reading. Yes, I have to do reading now. I've forgotten. Because WoW is one of those games that only uses it for particularly notable quests, which I appreciate. That it's very expensive to voice act everything I do, but it's makes such a difference to the game. For sure.
Yes, one surprise that I had, Raven, was actually Patty Mattson is on the voice acting team for this year.
Hey, awesome! What's she done? Do we know yet?
I don't know off the top of my head. It came across my Twitter yesterday, and I'm like, oh, cool,
amazing. That'll be epic, whatever that is. So we'll check that out. So after 1 week of playing Necrom, what's your rating? Do you think thumbs up, thumbs down, or whatever your preferred rating scale is?
I definitely for me, definitely 2 thumbs up. Again, despite being, I know people like, you have, because we always joke around with our community and we're just like, we hate Vardenfell. You'll never catch us there. And so now people are like, fell technically, and but like I said, despite again not being a huge fan of that kind of Morrowind space and that feel, again they have continued every single chapter to just up the quality and the storytelling and just everything about it, and then the new Bastion Nimic area. I cannot recommend it enough. It just feels so good. I think they had a couple rough years, High Isle wasn't received as well. A lot of it was the Tales of Tribute. Some people are on the fence. And so I think High Isle didn't quite fill everyone's cup the way they thought. I loved it. Again, the aesthetic was my favorite.
I really loved it.
Yeah, but there were a lot of people, really made a lot of noise. It just wasn't what, they were quite looking for. But I feel like Necrom just hits hard this year. I think they came out of the gate swinging, and I cannot recommend it enough. I think it's just a really, again, the class is phenomenal. The zones are beautiful. The world event that they added, and obviously they're not done. This is the chapter release, but Q3 they're dedicating to quality of life improvements and bug fixes, which I am stoked for. But Q4 they're adding new features to the game and stuff. So I really look forward to what they continue to add, because I know they're not done in this zone, in this area. But as far as the chapter goes, I can't recommend it enough. I think it's absolutely phenomenal, and they just did a brilliant job, and they one up themselves again, hands down.
Yep, I agree. Like I said, they didn't. Between everything they've done with this chapter with Necrom has not been. It's a testament to everyone who says they don't listen to the community, because everything the community says you don't listen to us, they've come back and done. The drops on mythic items and mythic leads is higher. It's a lot easier to get them. The overland collectibles and rewards are much more appreciated. The furnishings, if you're into furnishing, High Eye has some really good furnishings, but the Bastion Nimics, I got a floating book column last night plan, nice. Which again, aside from the value of what it's worth, is the aesthetics alone. It's an animated furnishing plan. Like I said, it's just super cool.
Wow.
There's just so much that they added to, and they really listened to, and this is just proof positive, they really listened to what's being said. PvP, I get it. I'm gonna nip that right now. I get it. But is they listened to a lot of that and they implemented it. And if that alone doesn't give them like 5 stars on this chapter, then the Arcanist, like I said, even if they nerf it, or when they eventually, tone, like the missus said, balance it to the other classes, it's phenomenal. It's another way to play that gives you a lot of variety and a way to change things up a little bit. And there's just so much with this chapter that they blew it out of the water for a lot of people.
Yeah, if anybody's been hesitant, if people didn't, again, feel good about jumping in at High Isle and they've been kind of hesitant, I think this one's very different. This one's a very different feel. And I think this is a good one to jump into if even if High Isle kind of maybe didn't give you the right vibes. I think this one will.
Yeah, it's a very, very different theme, isn't it? Less of the political intrigue and the sort of medieval castles and much more kind of high fantasy. Yeah, Daedric princes. Yeah, it's all there. It's all there.
Yep.
The river cheers in the chat room from Kestinka. So it looks like it's popular.
Excellent.
Okay, so this episode's for fun section is a little bit different. On our last episode, we asked listeners for their favorite moments or memories from our first year. These are the responses we got using hashtag 10th Divine Anniversary. From Katie at Katie Stunt Show. Honestly, I loved when you had us at Snug Pod Crew on. First time we've all been guests on a show together, and it was amazing chatting with you all.
It was a good show. That one. Slightly chaotic, but it was a good show. Marie says, I think my favorite moments have been hearing all about the content creators and who organize events and activities for the community. Particularly relevant was the recent episode with Locke about Pride, which is obviously coming up later this month.
And from some scoundrel who goes by NineTaleFox TTV, my favorite memory was having the absolute privilege of being a guest on the show with Mrs. NineTales and getting to meet 2 wonderful new members of the community. Happy anniversary, friends.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. As promised, I will be giving away crown packs to crown crate packs to 2 winners. So, Raven, which one of these is the winner for you?
So I used a random number generator, and Katie came up for me.
We like Katie.
We know Katie. She's
like Katie.
amazing.
She is very good people.
Yep. We had to meet her a couple times. Once at PAX and then again at ESO Vegas. Yes.
Yep.
And I am going to give my win to Marie. So I will be in touch with both of you to organize getting those crown crates packs to you. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mrs. Nine and Mrs. Can you let them know where we can find you online?
Yes. So you can find us at twitch.tv 9_tale, TALE_Fox. You can also find us on all the social medias. We're over on YouTube at the_Fox_den. Lots of underscores because people like to take our names. We're also on Twitter and we're on Instagram. So Linktree is probably the best way to find us. /9 surprise _tale _fox. So those will have all of our links.
Cool. Thank you for tuning into the show. If you've enjoyed it, please let other people know and give us a review wherever you are listening to us. Rating and reviewing the show will help other people find it. You can also give us a review over at the Bonus Roll podcast directory. Go to bonusroll.gg/directory to find it. If you want to get in touch with the show, you can find us on Twitter at 10th Divine Pod, or you can email us at 10thDivinePodcast@gmail.com. If you want to find us in other places, you can find me, Raven, over at Girls Gone WoW if you're a World of Warcraft fan, or if tabletop RPGs are more your thing, check out As the Dice Roll, where I'm part of the crew of Cautious Optimism. I'm actually also DMing some Dungeons & Dragons on my Twitch these days, so you can also find that there. You can find me as Silky Raven on Twitter, Twitch, or Instagram, or on the GGW Discord at girlsgonewow.net/Discord. There's a channel over there for ESO chatter and lots of other general gaming chat.
You may have noticed that I haven't been promoting streams the past couple of episodes, and I'm going to explain why now. Early in May, I found out a friend was going into hospice after a fight with cancer did not go well. On May 17th, they passed away at the age of 43. This is the same age as my wife and forced some introspection and reflection on my part. Right now, I'm not in a good mental space to be producing content, and I'm going to be stepping away temporarily. I'm going to be spending the summer focusing on time with my wife, recentering, and making the best memories we can, because as life so cruelly pointed out recently, you never know when your time is up. You can still find me on Twitter at ShantymanGaming or in the gaggle of gaming discords I am in. Currently, the plan is to come back in the late summer or early fall, especially since I have extra life obligations to fill, such as Shanty's first Skyrim. This isn't farewell, just ta-ta for now.
Oh, we're thinking of you, Shanty. It's really, really tough. So this means that we will not be back in 2 weeks, but we will be back a bit later in the year. So we're just going on a little brief hiatus. We should be back kind of mid-September, maybe somewhere around then. So but thank you everyone for listening to us throughout our first year of putting the show together. We've met some amazing people. We've had a great time. And yeah, we will be back just after the summer. Meanwhile, I will still be streaming, so you can always find me over at on my Twitch if you want some World of Warcraft or some ESO or some Dungeons and Dragons these days. That's all there for you. So thanks very much, everyone, and we will see you on the flip side.